Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. We continue with our recitation from Gauri Bhavanakhari Kabir Jiyo. The recitation is the 21st and 22nd Salok. The recitation first for the 21st. Narna Rutau Nar Nehi Karai, Na nive na fun sanchare, Tan janam tahi ko gane, Mare ek taj jaye gane. Nanna Rutau Nar Nehi Karai. From the letter Nanna of the alphabet. Ran is a battlefield, a warrior engaged in the battlefield. That is the image that Kabirji is projecting to us. We are spiritual warriors engaged in the battlefield of the mind. So Ran Rutau Nar Nehi Karai. Rutau is to be engaged in. So we are like warriors who are engaged in the battlefield. And on the battlefield, Nar, a person, an individual, Nehi Karai. Nehi means to compromise. So on the battlefield, there is no compromise. A warrior knows no compromise. Na nive, does not give in. Na nive. Nive is to bend to the enemy. Na funi sanchare. Nor does the warrior communicate with the enemy. So a warrior engaged in battle knows no compromise, does not give in to the enemy, neither seeks to communicate with the enemy, because the goal is to annihilate the enemy, to kill. So therefore, Tan janamatahi ko gane. Now Kabirji takes the metaphor of a warrior, the analogy, and relates it to life. He says, blessed is that life. Tan janam tahi ko gane. You can only count such a life as being blessed. And then he describes what that life is like, which is truly blessed. Mara ek hai. A life in which ek hai is one. Here it is a reference to the mind. Mara ek hai. Conquering the mind. Conquest of the mind. Man jeeta, jag jeet. So mara ek hai, taj jaye gane. So by killing one, you kill many. The many here is a reference to our afflictions, vices that we are caught up in, addictions, vices of the mind, the perversions of the mind. So a life in which the mind has been conquered is truly blessed, because it has found its essence. So we are like warriors engaged in battle. So the mind is really engaged in battle with itself, and there should be no compromise. The next slok is lesson sought from the letter Tata of the alphabet. Tata atar taryo nah jai, tan tribhavan mein rahyo samai, jo tribhavan tan mahe samava, to tat hai tat milya sach pava. Tatta, the letter Tatta, to define central concepts like Tattah, Tat, essence. What is the essence that we need to understand, and what is our own essence? So Kabirji says, Tatta atar taryo nahjai. Atar, that which cannot be swum across, impossible. Taryo nahjai, you cannot swim. That which cannot be swum across. So in other words, it is impossible, he says, as long as tan tribhavana meh rayo samai. So you can't, the sea of life, in other words, you cannot live a successful life from the perspective of Gurmat so long as the body and the mind remains immersed in the world of Maya. Tan tribhavana meh rayo samai, the world of the senses. Until and unless you have unhitched yourself from the world of the senses, you will continue to be deluded. So Kabir is very clear about that. He says it will be impossible. Atar taryo nahjai tan tribhavan mein rayo samai, because your attention is not there, you see. And this is all about attention, where your attention is. So if you're attending to the world of the senses, then they will take you for the ride that they are taking you on as it is. But he says, Jo tribhavan tan meh samava. Jo tribhavan, that same world is dissolved within. In other words, if you can take a step back, become detached. Jo tribhavan. Tribhavan comes from the word tribhavan, which means three worlds. The world, the three-dimensional world. An old concept, but for our purposes, it means the world that we are engaged in. So he says, Jo tribhavan tan mahe samava. So you see, in the previous line, he said, Tan tribhavan mein raho samai. In other words, you are engaged in it, but how about just absorbing it within yourself? In other words, becoming the master of it instead of being mastered by it. Jo tribhavan tan mahe samava. So this is the switch, the pivot. To tattah tat milya sach pava. To tattah tat milya. Tattah means within the essence you will find your essence. In other words, within yourself is the essence. Milya sach pava. And there you will recognize reality, the truth. You will perceive the truth. So in other words, Kabir has been stressing the need for restraint from the senses, discipline, and for us that is pretty obvious because that is what Gurmat teaches. That is the very first step on this path. As long as you're engaged with your senses and being driven by them, there is no way that you're going to be able to move inward, so to speak. So you have to stop the mind in order to penetrate it. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.